Welcome or welcome back to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Maria Andrea, and this is the 12 tags of Christmas, day 2. And I'm in a bit of a different location, as you can see. You don't have my toppling books behind me. I am here to do the Christmas Joy tag. I'm pulling it up here on my Notion app. The Christmas Joy Booktube Tag. This tag was created by Sandy at Sandy Says Read. I don't think I was tagged to do this one. I'm on a roll with doing tags I wasn't tagged to do. And I saw Daniela at Uncommon Reader post this tag. I just watched her video this morning and I thought this is the tag I'm going to do for day 2 of these 12 days of Christmas tags. So the instructions for this tag say to prepare a favorite holiday drink. And so prompt number 1 is tell us about the drink, the holiday drink that you've made. So before getting home and getting comfortable, I was visiting my aunt and she made tea for us. So I had a hot tea, a cup of really delicious hot tea, an herbal tea, and I didn't feel like making anything hot. So I was thinking, what could I make iced? So I made rompope, which is the Mexican version of eggnog. It's a vegan eggnog, so I purchased the vegan eggnog, and I spiked it with a little bit of rum and some cinnamon. So, cheers! I have this really big straw. It's like a peppermint candy cane looking straw. And the real exciting thing here is this tamal that I have too. It's my dessert. My mom and I made tamales last weekend, and on Monday we made a batch of these sweet corn tamales with raisins. And my mouth is watering. They're so good. So they're sweet, and it's a nice light dessert. It's not too sweet, which I like. I used to not enjoy sweet tamales because I always found them to be overly sweet, but these feel just right. Question number 2 has 2 parts. 2A says, what's a Christmas book or story you remember a parent or teacher reading to you when you were a kid? Tell us about it. Hmm. I grew up Catholic, and then Christian, like evangelical Pentecostal Christian, for like the second half of my childhood, my upbringing. But the first half was when we lived in Mexico. Um, I went to a Catholic school, taught by nuns, and the nuns would tell us the story of the birth of Jesus. So that was what I grew up at, like hearing every Christmas, and every Christmas my parents and through just family holiday traditions, going to posadas, praying the rosary was always um, the story of Christmas. But a well, 2B will continue. So 2B is in childhood. What's a Christmas story or book you enjoy or find yourself returning to each year? So I'm going to just kind of combine these two. It's really just the story of the birth of Jesus Christ. It's what I return to, and I've always just been. It's been a big part of my memories. My mom would put up a nativity scene when we lived in Mexico, and it was a very elaborate nativity scene. Like we would make stone walls and all the animals in like very nature scape, it was really, really beautiful, and like the frozen lakes and rivers and creeks and valleys, and it was just really cool. So I always enjoyed that. And as an adult, I continue to enjoy putting up a nativity scene, not as elaborate as my mom's was when I was growing up, but a more minimalist one. And I like moving the people in the scene around to like show the progress of the story of the birth of Jesus. So that's always a fun thing to do around here for me, anyway. But the funny thing is that when I was at this nun, at this Catholic school taught by nuns, I was maybe like 5-year old, I think. Um, and we were putting on a play, and I was playing the part of the angel who comes to deliver the good news. And the angel has like one line. um, but I was a little overachiever. I read through the whole play and I learned everybody's part. So I was like an understudy for everybody's part, and I just could recite by memory the whole play, like read everybody's lines. And so for a few years, my mom would take me around to like family gatherings, and I would be asked to share the story of the birth of Jesus, and um, by way of like dramatic reading. And so I would dramatically read um, this play and the narrator, and it was just really funny. So that was kind of, I think somebody recorded me. I think one of my uncles recorded me at some point um, telling the story. I say dramatically, not that I was acting it out, but like I guess how I would read, I would kind of put some zhuzh into the reading. And so it was funny. So that's always kind of stuck with me, and I think over time, that's from childhood to adulthood, that's the one story that keeps um, being a thing that I'll either read or um, reflect on. And um, as an adult, I've enjoyed reading A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens and Samantha Silva's Mr. Dickens and His Carol. Those are two that I like to alternate and reread over the holidays. Question number 3, or prompt number 3. Has your favorite author written a Christmas story? I don't know that I can say I have like one favorite author, but I think I think the answer might be yes and no. So one of my favorite authors is Lisa Cross Smith, and I would love a Christmas story by Lisa Cross Smith. If someone can let her know that, I think she'd be a brilliant writer of a like really amazing story set at Christmas. I would love to read it. Um, so I think that is something that I would look forward to. Now, I have my basket here. I keep this basket in my living room. This is my living space that we're in. And I have this basket here of books, like holiday reading that I'm doing. So if I'm just hanging out wanting to pick up something for the holiday, this is my stack, and I'll go through these books right now. But like one that I want to talk about is this little one, Christmas with Ellen Montgomery. I love Ellen Montgomery. I talked about how much I love the Blue Castle. I've loved Anne of Green Gables, and the whole like I've read Anne of Green Gables and I've read Rilla at Ingleside, or Rilla's story. Really enjoyed that too. So I'm looking forward to reading this little one. I haven't read through it yet. I'm missing Claire Keegan's book. I think I have that on another shelf, but that's has had its time in this basket. I didn't put it in this year. Question or prompt number 4. Who is your favorite Christmas character from a book, history, movie, etc.? Tell us about that person or critter. Mm, maybe Linus, because in Charlie Brown Christmas, he's the one that tells the story of the birth of Jesus, and I can kind of connect to that because I was little Linus when I was a kid. So I think I'm gonna say Linus, but just for the Christmas movie, my favorite Charlie Brown Christmas character, or not Charlie Brown Christmas, my favorite Charlie Brown character is Lucy. Question number 5. Do you munch on snacks while you read? And if so, which of your favorite holiday confections do you reach for this time of year? I do. I mentioned on my channel that I have a lunch place I like to go to, and I always have a book, and the owners of the restaurant are always peering over, asking me what I'm reading, because they just expect that I'm going to show up with a book. And so I read while I eat when I get to go to that lunch space. Well, I always have a book with me, so any other lunch place I go, I usually pull out a book. But that place, I'm like known for reading while I'm eating. In terms of holiday reading, I don't know. If I'm at home, I'm probably sipping on something, having something to drink while I'm eating. Um, I'm not eating anything terribly complicated that requires a lot of like utensils. Probably some like finger foods and nothing too greasy because I wouldn't want to get grease all over the pages. So maybe a cookie, um, maybe Siete makes these little mini buñuelos and those are really cool. I've had ice cream while I'm eating. I know I said nothing too complicated, but like just a little bit of ice cream, little scoop here and there. That, that's all I can think of at the moment. Chocolate. I I maybe will nibble on a bar of chocolate while I eat. A candy cane occasionally, maybe. What's a Christmas tradition you will never outgrow? Um, Visiting family. Like I said, I was just visiting one of my tias before coming home, and I used to love as a kid to spend the holidays with my aunts and my cousins. I don't get to do that as much anymore now that we're all adults. But I always try to find time within the holiday season to go and visit my tias, my cousins. So um, yeah, I like getting on the road, like visiting people. And I also like hosting. So um, celebrating Dia de Reyes with a rosca and inviting people over for a merienda and um, doing the whole who got the baby. That's something I love. Um, and being the person that has gifts for people for Dia de Reyes, I think is really special and I enjoy that. Um, so yeah, that's baking. I like to bake. I haven't baked yet, but I am probably going to be baking in the next few days of Christmas. Bonus, recommend 1 or 2 Christmas titles that spark joy. So how about I just share my basket here? Because yesterday in the Christmas tag, I mentioned Nevermore, the Trials of Morgan Crow. This has a really beautiful Christmas scene. So this is not a Christmas book, but it takes place, it's set during the Christmas season, and it's really, really wonderful. But in my basket here, I have, these are my current like holiday reads. I'm reading The Service Berry by Robin Wall Kimmerer's Abundance and Reciprocity in the Natural World. This is a newer release, and I purchased it because I love the cover, I love the deckled edges, and I chose this as my Hope in Nature, Hope, Environmental Hope book for the Guadalupe Reinas reading marathon that's currently underway. So this is what I'm reading for that prompt. So it's in my basket. I have A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens here. I picked this one up at Powell's earlier this year when I visited Portland. Mistletoe Malice by Kathleen Farrell. It says literary comfort and joy. It got me out of mourning for the Castlets. It's a blurb by Meg Mason, author of Sorrow and Bliss. Sorrow and Bliss is a book I've been meaning to read, so this blurb stood out to me. And it says, do you really enjoy spending Christmas with your family? A stylish and penetrating comedy of manners. Chekhov with more cigarettes and English emotional frigidity. My favorite Christmas book by far, and you can read it all year round. This is Rachel Joyce, author of The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. It says, she had her hand on the strings, the puppets could frolic a while. The fire is on, sherry poured, claws are being sharpened in a seaside cottage perched on a cliff. One family reunites for Christmas. While snow falls, a widowed matriarchy tyrannically rules over her unruly brood. Her spinster niece tends to her whims, but dreams of eloping. And as more guests arrive, each bringing their secret truths and dreams, the Christmas tree explodes, a brawl erupts, an escape occurs, and their midwinter madness climaxes. Out of print for 70 years, Mistletoe Malice is a glorious lost gem, a darkly witty portrait of a dysfunctional post-war English family's festivities for fans of Barbara Pym, Stella Gibbons, Nancy Mitford, and Elizabeth Taylor. So that is Mistletoe Malice by Kathleen Farrell. I mentioned Christmas with Ella Montgomery. I have Christmas Letters by Debbie McComber. I picked this up at my local indie, and it's a really nice condition, good condition used book. And it says, celebrate Christmas on Blossom Street with a brand new romantic comedy from New York Times bestselling author Debbie McComber. Catherine O'Connor often spends her days at a cozy cafe on Blossom Street in Seattle where she writes Christmas letters for other people. She's good at making their everyday lives sound more interesting, more humorous, more dramatic. But for Dr. Wynne Jeffries, who also frequents the cafe, Christmas means lies and deception. In fact, the renowned child psychologist recommends that parents bury Santa under the sleigh. Catherine, however, feels that his parenting philosophy is one big mistake, at least based on her 5-year-old twin nieces who are being raised according to his free child methods. She argues with Wynne about his theories, while he argues that her letters are nothing but lies. They disagree about practically everything, and yet somehow they don't really want to stop arguing. I'm going to leave it at that. I think this is a romance. So it sounds really sweet and really interesting. I have this collection from Everyman's Pocket Classics Christmas Stories. A really gorgeous book. I think I've talked about this, so I'm just showing it. My True Love Gave to Me 12 Holiday Stories. These are all romance stories. Edited by Stephanie Perkins, and it's got stories by Holly Black, Allie Carter, Matt De La Peña, Gil Foreman, Jenny Han, David Levithan, Kelly Link, Myra McIntyre, Stephanie Perkins, Rainbow Rowell, Lainey Taylor, Kirsten White. So 12 holiday short stories. I've always wanted to read one a day for the 12 days of Christmas, and I haven't been able to do that. And every year I'd say maybe this is the year. So I don't know. I'm really curious. I really want to read this. And How It Goes by Edith Wharton stories. I was hoping to get through some of these for the Ghosts of Christmas Past reading event that was happening this month. I have Jen Hatmaker's 7 Days of Christmas, A Season of Generosity. It's a really beautiful book. I have Christmas at Cold Comfort Farm by Stella Gibbons. I haven't read this, and it's also one of those books that I say maybe this season this will be my read, my holiday read. I've shown this one before, The Penguin Book of Christmas Stories, from Hans Christian Andersen to Angela Carter, edited by Jessica Harrison. And I think I've read some. I usually pick this one up and just read one or two every year. Had this book for a couple of years. And I have this one here. This is not a Christmas book, but I put it in here because this one that I wanted to get to, and I had it on my nightstand for the longest time, and thought I just need to put it in the living room so I can reach for it more. Let There Be Light: The Real Story of Her Creation by Leanna Fink. It's the story of the Book of Genesis. So I think it's just told in it's a retelling, a bold retelling of the Book of Genesis starring a female god, I would say, with a feminist twist, from the acclaimed New Yorker cartoonist and author of Passing for Human. I started it, but I haven't gotten very far. It says, in this ambitious and transcendent graphic novel, Leanna Fink turns her keen eye to none other than the Old Testament, reimagining the story of Genesis with God as a woman, Abraham as a resident of New York City, and Rebecca as an idol, among many other delightful twists, and Fink retelling the millennia-old stories of Adam and Eve, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Esau haunt the pages like familiar but partially forgotten nursery rhymes transmuted by time, but still deeply resonant with their trademark insightfulness, bright humor, and supple, moving visual style. Fink accentuates the latent sweetness and timeless wisdom of the original text, infusing it with wit and whimsy while retaining every ounce of its spiritual heft. Let There Be Light is proof that old stories can live forever, whether as ancient scripture or as a series of profound and enchanting cartoons. The Book of Genesis is about some of the most fundamental, eternally pertinent questions that we can ask. What does it mean to be human? What is the purpose of our lives? And how should we treat one another? The stories that attempt to answer these questions are an immediate link with the people who first told them. Unable to fathom the holiness and preciousness of that notion, or put it into words, Leanna Fink set out to depict it. The result is a true story of creation rendered by one of our most innovative creators. So it looks really cool. Stacy Schiff praises Leanna and says, no one draws like Leanna Fink, and no one enchants like her either. The back is really funny. It's blurbs about the Book of Genesis, and it's got like the Pope, Karl Marx. Anyway, it's really cool. You can see like the drawings are fun, and it's not all black and white. Like there's this one that has a bit of red, but it is mostly black and white. This one is red. The last prompt is to tag others to join in the spirit of the season, but it's already the 26th, and I'm not going to tag anybody else. If you're doing the 12 Days of Christmas book tags and you want to do this, feel free to go right on ahead and consider yourself tagged. Sorry, just had a bit of put them on. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. I will be back tomorrow with another tag. Hasta la próxima.